Zoom into wine. I get to introduce you to my friend Todd Alexander. He's up in Oregon. He's a tremendous winemaker. He's making some beautiful wines from all over the world now. And I have great access to the wines of Holocene. I've been a Holocene disciple for many years. I think I came on pretty early, Todd. And now
hmm
I see more of you. You're coming down doing some of our events, and I'm seeing all the press and stuff going on. Hey, man, it's great to have you on Zoom. Thanks for joining
Yeah.
us.
So much for having me, and thanks for all the support over the years. Yeah, I really appreciate it. Happy to be here.
I'm going to take us into the slideshow. We move through these slides pretty quickly, but want to just kind of, oop, not that one, this one. I just want to kind of point out Todd makes a couple different Pinot Noirs, a couple different Chardonnays from Oregon. This one's called Codex, and we carry, I think, three of them on the website currently. We're all in the 23 vintage at this time. And Todd, tell us about your thought process and maybe where this wine comes from and a little bit of info about Holocene and Codex.
Sure. Okay, so I started Holocene in 2015, just had a single wine, moved up north to the Pacific Northwest. I worked with a handful of other people making wine for others after being the winemaker at Bryant Family Vineyard in Napa. I knew I wanted to work with Oregon Pinot and ultimately Chardonnay because I always really liked wines from that region. And although I wasn't working for anyone making wine from that area, I started Holocene because I just wanted to get my hands on some Pinot and start working with that. So that was in 2015. Fast forward now, we'll step back a little bit, but I had just one wine. Then I had two Pinots while I was kind of figuring out learning the valley. To present day now, we have, three or four Pinots depending on the year, a couple of Chardonnays. We make about 1,000 cases, so it's still really small. But then we
Huge.
our yeah, we have our French projects. So all told, we're probably around 2,000 cases. Actually, with the 2024 vintage of Holocene, I'll have around 1,300 cases of wine. So
Mm,
kind of steadily growing it slowly over time. I started working with a single vineyard in Yamhill, Carlton. I branched out and worked with a site further south near Junction City. And I've subsequently worked with sites in Ribbon Ridge, the Dundee Hills, Aola Amity Hills, and Chehalem Mountains, which kind of brings us around to the Codex wine. Codex is a blend of its barrel selection. So it's taken from it's a few barrels, two or three barrels from each AVA that I kind of work with in a given year. Sometimes the vineyard sites change. There's a couple that haven't changed over time, but always wanting to pull some interesting barrels that work together well with different fruit characteristics and components in the wine that we think mesh well in a particular vintage. So that's where the genesis for Codex came from. Was most things are kind of single vineyard or at least single AVA. This is our kind of broader stroke Willamette Valley wine. We're trying to make something that we think is really a standout wine that shows just kind of some of the characteristics of the Willamette Valley. Um, Everything in it are pretty close to it is whole cluster, 100% whole cluster. I started off making Pinot with Aldi stemming. Over time, I've moved more and more into the whole cluster end of things. So I'm anywhere from 70 to 100% whole cluster in a given year. And I don't use much new oak, maybe up to 20%, generally speaking. Some things there's no new oak, some things might get a little bit more. But I really like the freshness, the energy, and the tension, the texture that the stems give. So, fortunately, we've had some really great vintages. I have not had to just destem everything. We are really careful with everything we work with in the vineyard, so we don't generally have problems with rot and things like that. And everything's organically farmed, so that's another data point. Everything we work with is organic. Um,
yeah, that's lot to appreciate the multi-vineyard approach, blending it together to make a AVA Willamette Valley.
yeah.
And
Most of the time, like my background is a lot of single vineyard winemaking, so this is actually kind of a different direction for me to go in. I really do enjoy like tightening the screws on a certain particular site and seeing what that can do. But it's also interesting to try and challenging to try and make a compelling wine that's blended from different spots with intention every year.
Is it kind of like the difference between making a symphony and a guitar solo?
Yeah, exactly. Something like that. Yeah. I mean, you can have a really cool like guitar solo going on or a solo pianist or something, but sometimes it is interesting to throw some other stuff in there. It's kind of like stripped down versus like more produced, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So very, very good analogy.
This one got 95 points, and all of your wines in 23 seem to get between 95 and 100. Uh,
Yeah.
I think this wine is the kinder, gentler, uh, easier access
Yes.
wine as far as it's got a little softer, pretty elegance to it. Uh,
Definitely. And that was the idea behind it. Yeah. A lot of that, like you have that blackberries, kind of dark fruit, violets. To me, there's licorice. You get some cedar on there, aromatics, a little bit of dried herbs. And it's interesting because you have the red fruit that comes from the more marine sedimentary soils in the valley, places like Yamhill Carlton,
mhm.
versus like some of the Chehalem mountain fruit I have is more volcanic soil, which is that more that darker fruit, violet. So there's kind of a lot of complexity there. Every time you kind of go back to it, you can get some of that dark fruit, brambly, uh, dried herb kind of thing going on, and you can get more of the really pretty red fruit, broad, earthy, even kind of forest floor that you could kind of get in the marine sedimentary soils.
I do like Owen's mandarin orange zest. I get a little bit of
Yeah.
kiss of that too. And all these little nuances aren't because he's chopping up orange peels or anything like that and putting it in there.
Right.
But where would like a mandarin orange zest come from? Is that just from like the very thin skins of the Pinot Noir? Is that
Yeah,
come?
I tend to find that in the Pinot. Sometimes you get that in Grenache too,
Yeah.
especially if it's a little bit juicier with thinner skin. Also, if you don't overpower these with oak, then those high-toned aromatics like dried orange peel or mandarin and white floral components are a lot more present in the wine versus if you use more new oak where you're going to get darker more like torrefaction and things like that on the aromatics. I want to preserve the really beautiful high tone stuff. And our alcohol content, we're always between like 13 and 14%. That's kind of like where I like to pick the fruit. And that lends itself to some really pretty aromatics as well. The fruit doesn't go so far that it gets that kind of overripe, almost stewy, and kind of syrupy, uh, more, dark cherry kind of thing. It's more bright, floral, and citrusy at this stage. That's just a nice shot of the Willamette, kind of near Monksgate Vineyard. Yeah.
At 55.95 on the wine. I think Todd's wines have a really nice shelf life potential.
Hmm.
What are you thinking on this wine, Todd? 5, 10, 15 years.
Oh yeah. I mean, I think it could go a lot longer. One of the most important things is just storing it at the right temperature. So 55 to 60 degrees. If you can store it like that, it'll age nice and slowly. It could go 20 years, but like you pointed out earlier, it can be consumed now and really enjoyed. It's a young wine right now, but it's not something that's bruising and has a lot of oak that needs to integrate. So it's ready to go. But it'll continue to evolve for a long time, and we'll bottle the 24s later this summer. So there's still some 23 left, but not a lot. And all the wines I make, everything is kind of with the mindset that people are not cellaring wine typically as long as they used to. So I like to make wines that are open, drinkable soon, but also stuff that you can lay down. So I'm always trying to find that balance.
I love this wine. I love this brand. I'm excited for you, Todd. I hope
Thank you.
I'm going to see you in a couple of weeks when we come up to
Yeah.
Oregon.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
Thanks so much, and we'll
All
see
right.
you in Oregon.
Sounds good.
Take care, buddy.
You too.